the Collective Conservatory is doing groundbreaking work. And I think one portion of that, while there's of course probably many, one portion of that is really taking this online space and pulling music into that space. And I think another portion of that is collective composition in the online space, but then also looking at what does student voice and agency really look like in that space, and how do we situate that with all the different types of music, you know, classical versus any other music, and what does that mean for our systemic field. So I'm excited about the Collective Conservatory, the work that you are doing, and even the conversation today. So I invite us to step into that conversation and bring in the themes of our current surroundings, whether that themes around race, student agency, COVID-19. Let's see where we go today. So I'm going to introduce the members of the team. And so firstly, Dan Trahey, thanks for being here and thanks for putting all of this together. Super appreciate it. Pete Tastian, thanks for being here. Natalie Frakes, thanks for being here. Osia Tikpo, thanks for being here. And then we have Kiana Carrington. Thank you. Excited to hear from you. Nima Robinson, thanks for joining us. And Gabriel Colby, thank you so much for joining us today. Without much further ado, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for having us. And Monique and Katie, thanks for facilitating this for us. I also want to thank you for the conversation and listening session that you guys hosted with Health System USA earlier today. That was extremely meaningful and informative. Well, welcome to the Collective Conservatory. I don't want to spend that much time talking about our organization, other than we're here to facilitate online and hybrid online in-person music making. This was a response to when COVID hit and organizations were shutting down. They lacked the money to support, the technology to support, and we thought we could provide something with little to no overhead that could put online programming directly into students' homes. We started with a lot of problem solving and looking at actually a lot of your programs to look at what was working and what wasn't. And what we were finding that was working is that the connectivity in the home was actually better than ever. And these private lessons were going amazingly well, but a lot like the experience we have when we're live, we found a few things that we were struggling with and that the programs were struggling with. And one of that was creativity, intrinsic learning, collectivity, and group music making decisions, and a few others that the team will talk about. And so we kind of got together, Pete Tash and I got together and just came up with some ways that we were going to solve those problems. And so what you're going to hear about today is just one way that we've figured out ways to solve some of this connectivity. And we're going to play you a track in a second here from something we've just done. But a few things that came up right away is that we had to develop a new ensemble behavior, that the same principles of putting our feet flat on the floor, of sitting back, of whatever it takes to play your instrument well was going to be really important to us. And that led us to start to understand that we were going to need to bring in some physical movement instructors and some mindfulness instructors to get our heads and our bodies right, to be able to really do this work and to be able to set a new ensemble behavior. The second thing is that we decided to give ourselves a ton of grace and have a ton of patience, knowing that the computer was now our instrument, and that no longer it was seen as a secondary thing, but actually that we need our devices in order to create music. And so changing our mindsets about the computer being a secondary thing and really becoming one of our main learning tools. And the third one was trying to make every student's home a learning sanctuary, where they came in and they were online, and whether they were in the best of conditions or the worst of conditions, that they were putting the most integrity behind that, just like they do when they sit in the band or the orchestra. I'd love to introduce Pete Tashin and love to have him talk a little bit about the process that we're going through to collect some of this material from the kids and how we're actually composing with them.
Hey, everybody. Nice to see you all. I'm very happy to be here. Yeah, I think just to echo what Dan was saying about beginning to treat the computer as a secondary instrument for us, I think what we decided early on was we just had to double down on that process. And as slow as it was going to be, we had to ensure that we were putting the time necessary to make this a successful thing, because a lot of times, I don't know about, all the programs out there, but we're not used to sending emails back and forth with our students all that much, especially when we're talking about, third and fourth grade students. And so this was something that we saw as being crucial to the composition process, the way that we've gone about it. And then on top of it, this is a great learning process and social tool that kids can carry on and use in their adult life. So really just taking the time to work through sending emails. How do you get an email address? How do you label an email? Stuff like that, so that although it takes a lot of time up front, once that system is in place, a real exchange of ideas and material can go back and forth. And that's what we're really kind of building towards. So another step to that whole process was sort of teaching each student individually how to record themselves with whatever materials they have. So some people are talking to us on a tablet and have a cell phone and can do that, and that makes the process a lot easier. Some people don't have that. So we had to be creative in the ways that we sort of figured out how to get recordings from each student, or at the very least, how to get the student's idea recorded on our end and then plugged into our composition. So we've been working through that, and I think we're gonna play, so that we don't spend our whole time talking. I'm gonna play you a track from one of our earliest projects called. This is a collaboration with Trenton Music Makers and Salty Crickets that we did. Dan, this was in early May?
Yeah.
We got together with them. This is our first composition with them, simply titled Number One.
It's sunny outside, such a good day. Sunny outside, such a good day. It's sunny outside, such a good day. Sunny outside, such a good day. It's sunny, sunny, 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 such a good day.
I hate this more than anyone, but I am coming short. I hate turning that off, but just for the sake of time and so that we can touch on a lot of this material, I'm going to pause that. And so, yeah, so what you're hearing there is a much more, so thank you very much. So what you're hearing there is obviously a much more produced version of what we just described, right? So this is students sending in recordings, us, compiling them and putting them into a working, sort of a working version that we can then take back to the kids on a daily basis. And then this material gets, once it's arranged and we've had our time with it with the students, we send it off to be professionally produced, which is what you're hearing right there. All the while hoping to maintain the connection to those initial ideas and those initial recordings. So we want those initial recordings to be prominently featured, but we also want to see what happens when we take that material a step further, which is, I think that last one is a great example of that.
And that was with younger elementary school, or third, fourth grades. So let's back that up to the type of environment that we need to create to get the kids to be creative in. And we know how hectic the environment is. And so back to this kind of sacred space, it's not only for our personal practice as musicians and academics, but also for our personal practice with our bodies. And we identified right away that we needed to find some experts who could help us activate our kids' bodies and get them ready to learn, or get them ready to, slow it down or speed it up a little bit. And so we reached out to Gabriel Colby, who is a trombonist. His bio says he likes to keep it simple with the gym, a cup of coffee, and a trombone, which I dug like that. And Gabe is one of those people that makes classical music look a lot better because of just how nice he is and how genuine he is. And I wanted him to be around our kids, and also because he connects the mind, body, and spirit with the trombone and the music so well together. And I thought he could really help us with that. So Gabe, could you just tell us a little bit about your process, and then maybe take us through one move? I know we're gonna totally bastardize it with 4 minutes, but thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gabriel Colby, and yeah, I'm responsible for movement and kind of giving the mind and body a reset in between some of these composing sessions, because sitting at a computer, just a short break makes a really big difference. And really, what I'm trying to impart to the kids, I think, is a very direct overlap to the music, which is that this kind of blurring the line between a workout and play, and what environment has to be, and that it doesn't have to be a gym in order to get a great workout. So similar to the composing aspect, when we're getting the kids really looking at their environment as a possibility for composing music, for example, sampling birds outside or music or different sounds that they're seeing. The work that we do is just in their house, right on the floor, using their bodies. And so I want to give them the opportunity to just be creative and have fun without anything else that they need. I think that's really important, in that it doesn't have to be a workout per se, or at a gym, to move your body and really get all the benefits out of that. Also, when we're doing it this way, it really gives the kids a chance to be more creative in finding their way to own these movements and experiment on their own, which we saw a little bit in the class. And another thing that I do that I think is really important is just, so far I've only had 15 minutes with the kids, but even in those 15 minutes, we're warming up for 5 minutes, and that involves breathing and just changing your state. So even I'm sitting here talking to you all on the computer, and then at this point, the kids are going to I think I went muted for a second.
You're good now.
But the kids are going to stand up from their chairs and get down on the ground and take a few deep breaths. And even that act is just so powerful for a reset for everybody. So those 5 minutes, just getting a warm-up in, is so important. So for everybody right now, I think let's do just a second of that. And actually, I think what we'll do is, you can stay seated, just so we can be near each other. But what all you're going to do is do some big neck circles like this. Go slowly. And while you're doing this, I want you to find a way to connect the breath to the movement. So that could mean you're breathing in all the way up until you get to the top, and then letting down as you go down, or reverse. It doesn't matter so much what you decide, rather that you decided something. That's the important part, and it'll really give you a nice reset. And if you haven't already done it, feel free to move your neck in the opposite direction for a little bit of contrast. Good, everybody. So that should just feel nice. And yeah, I guess I will close. I'm just really happy to be a part of this. And I think it's special and important just to take ownership of your body and your environment. So we don't need anything to get a good workout or have fun moving our bodies. And I think that's powerful and can give much more sense of responsibility in taking care of your body long term. And I feel like that's exactly what we're doing with the composing aspect of this, that instead of in the ivory tower of classical composing and that it has to be in this orchestral hall and room, that we can find inspiration for this stuff anywhere. And music is music, and a workout and moving your body doesn't have to be anything but interacting with the environment that you have in a new way.
Gabe, thank you so much. It occurred to me while you were speaking that I think it's important to say maybe on this call that the reason that you see the people from the Collective Conservatory here is because when we started having this conversation, we reached out to people and they said, of course I can try something new. I'm not used to working with third graders in a 15-minute format online, to get their bodies opened up and get their minds working, but yes, I'll do that. And I think that when we look at our teachers, like that's obviously what we're looking for in all of our programs. Like it's all a can-do attitude. And Gabe, thanks for having that attitude and like bringing this to us. It's been really important.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so we wouldn't normally do this back to back, but we're doing about hour and a half sessions with students, which is a long time. And the same thing we're incorporating in with our students, we're trying to incorporate with the adults, which is movement and mindfulness. So we wouldn't normally do these back to back, but for now we're going to do that. And I'd like to introduce Natalie Frakes, who's going to take us through an amazing mindfulness. And if you guys have instruments around you, can you pick them up or just go get them really quickly? You can also use your voices as well for this. And welcome.
Beautiful.
Yeah, let's give him a second.
Yeah.
Gabriel, will you mind putting your email address in the chat just in case anyone wants to reach out to you personally about working with you? All right, so we've got some instruments here. That's awesome. Okay. Hey, Natalie.
Nice, guys. Thanks, Dan, for that intro. And you guys, let's give Gabriel a little bit of snaps. He does some awesome work, FYI. So yeah, just to touch on what Dan had said, it's really important for our students now, I think more than ever, to make sure that they're practicing movement and mindfulness during these sessions so that we can create and maintain balance, because really we don't have that right now. We're at home all the time. And it's really, really crucial in virtual creative spaces, especially, to practice mindfulness and movement so that we can clear our minds, liberate our brains, make sure that we are rid of all the distractions that we have. And I'm just going to give you a little teaser of what we typically do with students. So I know you just grabbed your instruments, but I just wanted us to, maybe you can have it in rest position or something, and let's just relax and start by bringing attention to your body. And gently close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. Just notice your body wherever it's seated, and you feel the weight of your body in the chair, and your feet are on the floor. And let's breathe in, hold, 2, 3, and exhale. Let's do that one more time. Hold, 2, 3, and exhale. Now continue doing this. And while you are taking in these deep breaths, make sure you take in as much air as you can. Notice your feet on the floor. Curl your toes. And tense the muscles in your feet, and hold, 2, 3, and release. Notice your legs. Wiggle those around a little bit. Tense all those muscles, your calves, your thighs. Hold, 2, 3, and release. Notice your back against the chair, or wherever you're seated. And breathe in. And as you breathe in, arch your back. 2, 3, tighten it, and release as you exhale. Beautiful. We're going to do that one more time. We hold so much tension in our backs. Do that. Breathe in. 2, 3, you're arching, and exhale. Awesome. Notice your hands and clench your fists and tighten all the muscles in your arms. 2, 3, and release. Notice your upper arms and just tighten those. 2, 3, and release as you exhale. Always releasing as you exhale and tightening as you inhale. Focus on your breath for a moment. And pull your shoulders up to your ears and squeeze those muscles as you breathe in. 2, 3, and now release and relax. You're going to tighten your face by clenching your lips together like you're playing a trombone. 2, 3, and now allow all your face to relax. Take a deep breath in. Hold it. 2, 3, exhale. Soften your jaw. Let your face and your neck relax. Your whole body should be relaxed right now. Take an enormous breath in and exhale. When you bring your awareness to your breath, you're connecting your mind and your body, which is something we have to do all the time as musicians. Keep focusing on your breath. If you'd like to join, I have this drone going.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome
Nate.
job.
Wow.
Thanks, everyone.
Is anyone feel like they want to share out what they were playing there? And the reason I ask is because this is one of the compositional tools that we use. The students hear that pad, that track, and then we start to have them interact with it in different ways. Or maybe even like if someone could describe the style that they were playing in, that would be awesome. Or someone could share. Kiana, I'd love to hear from you. Do you want the track?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Nat, would you mind playing that track again?
1 second.
And maybe what might be cool this time is if when Kiana starts playing, if you guys one by one could take yourselves off mute, and you'll start to hear like this kind of sonorous sound of all of us interacting a little bit.
You hear that?
Wow, thanks.
Wow, everybody.
Nice work. So we would be recording that. We would ask the students if they had a secondary device to be recording that, and they could send that in. Or if we're on Zoom, then we can individually record those the feed right from their computer. So yeah, and we take that and we sometimes we'll put a beat behind it, and they can take one of those things and create a melody. But it's also just about listening and all that. So that's one way we've actually been interacting and be able to hear each other, which has been quite cool. So as Pete was talking about earlier, one of the biggest things is actually just getting kids used to communicating in some adult forms, so to speak, like, being able to email and all that. And I think that in 5 years, a lot of our companies are going to be thanking us for sending our kids through this kind of training, because they know how to label, they know how to put things in the right files. And, one of the things that's really interesting is that it seems like a lot of the adults still have problems with this as well. But, and now we can, a personal accountability has gone way up, because these students are submitting tracks on their own every single night, and we can see exactly who did and didn't practice now, which is pretty incredible. So in order to get that sound and to get those recordings going, one of the first things we do is just a found sound lesson, and we thought we would do that with you guys right now. Next week, we're going into a project with a hip-hop group out of Denver called The Reminders. And their whole thing is about financial literacy and financial empowerment. And so we're going to try something on you that we're going to do with the kids on Sunday, actually. And we'll do a big financial literacy lesson that's going to talk about predatory lending and the difference between debit and credit and all those kind of things. But we still need to get the kids on the technical side of this. It's all wonderful, whatever they say, but if we can't record it, it's a problem, right? So one of the first prompts we're going to give them is, what is the sound of money? No beat, no melody. We don't need any of that. What's the sound of melody? What's the sound of of money? So what's the sound of melody is next week's lesson. We're going to work on that one. So can you take a minute, and this is a part of this independent learning. So we want you to turn your cameras off. Go into your homes and find something that reminds you of the sound of money. And let's bring it back, and we're going to have you record it, and then label that file and put an appropriate subject matter in an email, and we'll go through all that. So this is your independent learning time. Take 2 minutes, go find something, and we'll go from there. Or go find multiple things. Falling out of your pocket, or is it money falling into the piggy bank? If they say money's falling into the piggy bank, then we bring up the conversation about saving 10% of your income and get into that kind of stuff, and which is part of our lessons anyway. Okay, so where does this? Does anyone else want to share? I don't want to. This is a. All right, Deborah, go for it.
You're still on mute.
No worries.
Got it. Okay. So I grabbed some change, but I amplified it with a lot more treble, soprano sound. And I can add this on the top. This is sort of better than just coins.
It's awesome.
Deborah, if you could join us next week for our residency, that'd be amazing. That's exactly what we're trying to do, is get people to think like about their timbre, right? And the fact that you said treble, like that's the musical concept, and just explodes from there once you start talking about that. Totally cool. I want to do mine. It's and it's the coffee grinder, and I roast all my own beans, which I did to save money, and I think it saves me thousands of dollars a year. So that's a financial thing for me. Cool. Pete, would you mind dialing up a track that uses some of these found sounds that people are coming up with?
Absolutely. I think we have a few good examples of this. So these are going to come from sessions we did with the Alexandria Symphony Orchestra Simpatico program. And again, these are going to be mostly younger students, probably anywhere from 3rd or 4th grade to 6th grade, I believe.
One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four.
Rising with the Tony Corner Road, coronavirus has got to go. This is the new way we get to learn. Everybody, please wait your turn. Smile on camera and participate. We can still make every day great.
One, two, three, four.
We need to overcome the coronavirus. Donate to CDC, brave. The virus is stopping the pilots. Vaccine activate. Do your job. Be a great. Let's stop the coronavirus today.
Staying home, staying safe. Only one of us can go out. Overcoming coronavirus. We have many images of the virus. We have to go to the store and wear a mask and look for some TV, but they ran out. No need to doubt. We can order off Amazon. They wouldn't run out, right?
One, two, three, four.
And I'm gonna pause it there because it repeats, but I think you all get the idea.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Another thing that's been able to do is help us bring some authenticity and some pride to each student's home. And so, like, I don't know, Monique, you have a great example of this. Like, you have authentic stuff behind you, right? So we ask the kids to bring in things and put it behind them to kind of make things their own. But sometimes in the found sound, we just say, give us something that's unique to your house. And so we get foods frying. We've gotten some hilarious parents yelling at their kids, which we've promoted the recording of, and toilets flushing. Yeah, kind of probably some crazy stuff going on out there, but it's been kind of fun. And what we found is that the kids like bringing things from their house because it makes them feel like there's something special, and there is something special in the house, and they're showing it to us.
And getting their family or like younger brother or sister involved has been something that sounds awesome and then is also right in line with exactly what we're trying to promote in the house. So.
Mm-hmm. Pete, we forgot to play something that came out of the ambient track.
Oh yeah.
Sorry about that. So before when Natalie was doing the mindfulness meditation, and then she was playing this, G minor thing underneath it. We did this with our kids from Alexandria, and we wanted to show you a little bit of some of the musical outcome of when you simply just put a few notes with no beats to it for the kids to play or sing over.
Yeah, so this was done about the similar way as we did the found sound, just including lyrics, and then we took the lyrics from this poem and kind of set them to some music. So this one's called Earth's Gifts.
Like the stars in the sky, this world shines bright. Like the creatures on the earth, this song plays along. When do you notice all the world's types of gifts? 'Cause they're extraordinary, more than anything that exists. When you see the world, what do you think? From the trees to the water or the little tiny stream? Or is it the nature that takes care of the ground? Every plant in the world makes the big canvas grow. Is it the sound most people will think? Every drop of the acorn makes the percussion complete. Splish splash, the water is here. It takes 71% of the earth every year. Like the stars in the sky, and this world shines bright. Like the creatures on the earth, this song plays along. When do you notice all the world's types of gifts? 'Cause they're extraordinary, more than anything that exists.
And I'm just going to share a link to some of these recordings so you guys can kind of check them out when you have some more time if you'd like to.
And that all just started from a D pad, right? So we're just playing one D, and then the kids started to riff on it. So I would love to introduce Nima Robinson and Kiana Carrington. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for being here. These are two of our young professionals who have kind of made the jump to, I would say, semi-professional teachers in the last month. And one of the things that Pete and I noticed right away is that the old folks like me were not the people we were going to be relying on to bring us into the future, or like even into the present, or even into like 20 years ago, which is when we should have started all this. And so some of our first calls were to our students. And Kiana and Nima both like immediately said just what Gabe said, just what Natalie said, but like, we got you. We can do this. Don't worry about it. We can interact online probably way better than you do. So just kind of let us roll with this. So in Pete and I's work, we're hiring professional producers as well as our mindfulness people and content extractors, or archaeologists, as we call them, like Natalie. But now we've incorporated student producing into this. And now the students are taking all the material and they're producing the same material in any way that they want to. And so we really feel like it's important to have both products, because we feel like the students' voices need to be on the same stage as Beyonce and the same stage as the New York Philharmonic. And there's certain things that need to be done to that in order for that to happen. For us to have a top 40 hit, there's certain production that has to be done at this point to do that. And so that is really important for us to give the student voice in that way. It's also important for us to give the student voice in this way, which is them actually coming up to this on their own and being the facilitators of this on their own. So Kiana and Nima, I kind of want to just turn it over to you and let you guys riff for a second, and please share some of your work with us. Eh? I think Nima can start us, yeah.
Hi, I'm Nima. So for the past, I think like 3 weeks, I've worked with a lot of the younger kids from the different sites and different schools, and I've taken like their recordings and just made it into like some kind of song, or we would have a theme of our song, and they would make sounds like like hitting something, playing their instruments, singing. Um, I would take my little brother's, like he would talk, and I would put that in there and just mix it into the music. So yeah, thank you.
And Nima, question for you. Where did you learn how to produce?
I figured it out myself. Like I just played with a lot of different programs and see which one I like to use. And I've messed with GarageBand in the past because I used to make a lot of stuff for school. But I learned how to use Soundtrap, which is another software that you can use, and it's really easy to use. So I would play around with different things, and I would see what exactly I could use and how I could use it. It's really easy to use. At first, it was kind of like, oh, what is this? Like, this is new. But it's really cool. So, yeah.
So in terms of teacher training, we went, we almost kind of bypassed the adults and went to the students. And what we found out is that when we gave tasks like, hey, you're going to have to collect all these students' tracks and all their kind of wild sounds and put them together, then these guys went out and found the way to corral that and the way to put it together and then put their own things on there. I think it also goes back to problem solving and how during these times problem solving is at the forefront of ingenuity, and both of these guys showed that kind of problem solving. Kiana, what about you? What has your experience been so far with this?
A lot of what Nima said. And yeah, I don't really have anything else to say.
Kiana just gave a beautiful speech at the League of American Orchestras conference about this subject matter, so maybe she's a bit exhausted from that. But Kiana, what exactly are you doing, and how do you feel like this has helped your personality in a different way than performing on the stage has?
I think being behind a screen and doing things is kind of easier for me because of my anxiety, like when performing. That I think that plays a part in it, and it's just like, I don't know, I enjoy doing it a lot. I enjoy playing my instrument too, but sometimes it can be like stressful.
So Kiana and Nima are both students who are incredible improvisers, great interpreters of music. They compose with us. But I would say, and you guys should speak for yourself, but both of you had not been the first people to like speak up to do a public speech or to, something like that within our programs. And now these guys are the leaders of our programs. Kiana, can you play us something that you came up with?
Yes.
Do you want to back it up and say what it was for? And
so I did this I think 3 weeks ago when I first got started. I made a piece. I worked with Brayden, and we were in like a breakout group, and I worked with her, and we composed, and we used the recordings that kids, some of our friends sent in, and we combined that, and then we a couple days ago I added some images to it and made like a film. Well, not film, like a slideshow, I guess.
Yeah, play the whole thing, Kiana. We want to see the whole thing.
Okay.
Share your sound, please. Hey, lowrider.
I'm confused. Hold up.
That's okay. Take your time. I think it's interesting that some people get gummed up on the stage with thousands of people in front of them, and others get gummed up. Like I get nervous when I'm not doing something right on my computer and people are waiting for me. But yours like cool as a cucumber. It's like absolutely amazing. Like I think it just accentuates again like how different personalities are actually being accentuated in this kind of DJ booth situation. We just had it, guys. I promise you.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Are there any questions that we can take while Kiana is working on this? I think we have a few in here. One is about using a click track.
That's a great question. Something we've done in the past. So obviously we can do call and response a lot in the same way that we've done it before, which is great for collaborating on rhythmic material. And that can happen in real time and all that, and that's great. But one thing that we've been experimenting with is sort of bringing in drum beats, and then sharing that sound and having everybody go on mute and sort of using that as our click track, so to speak. So a drum sample, like for instance, actually, Kiana, if it's okay with you, I'm just going to jump on here while you're.
Okay.
So this was one that I think, Kiana, you and I used this. So this is a James Brown beat. There's 10 hours of the sample on YouTube. I haven't made it all the way through. And stuff like that you wouldn't believe the resources that are available for just isolated drum tracks on YouTube. I'm sure a lot of you have experimented with that. But it's a great way to give people a click track with an amazing feel that then they can track to as well. And it's readily available on YouTube. We've sort of figured out ways of chopping these recordings up and then actually bringing those into our compositions as well. But that is a good question, because the click track situation is tough. At times, requiring students to use headphones has been helpful. But then at the same time, we've had some recordings come back where kids are rapping into a phone while the drum beat is playing on the computer, and that actually creates a really awesome effect as well. So, yeah.
So I actually have a simpler question than that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My simpler question is, like, on the last thing, you guys recorded a poem and they were singing, I think, in harmony, and you're having students record and submit things. Did they sing to a click track that did not make it into the final recording? How do they sing?
Yeah, so that one was sung by the students, and then the adults re-recorded it, and then we had students re-record over the adults singing.
For tempo.
Yeah, so that one, and for pitch. So that one was not done on click track, because we had the adults singing. We added the kids' voices were there, then we added the adult voice, took out the kid voice, and then re-recorded the kid voice.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Kiana is with us. Pete, I also emailed you the situation as well. For some reason, it won't play on my computer. No, Kiana?
I have it now. Okay.
Let's do it.
This is where that patience comes into play for me, the technology.
I lost it.
Can we explain to the group why we can't hear Kiana? I mean, why we can't hear her computer sound? Is that the question? I guess that person's no longer here. Cool. All right. Well, in the last few minutes we have, until we find that from Kiana, I'd like to welcome in Ben Hoyt and Osi Atikpo. That's really confusing, guys. It says Ben, Osi, Hoyt, Atikpo. That's amazing. But it's Ben Hoyt and Osi Atikpo. Ben and Osi are both classically trained musicians. Both went to the Peabody Conservatory, have spent a lot of time in the classical world, but have both ventured out from there. The first time I met Ben was him playing amplified electric violin and exploding people's minds with that. And I've known OC for a long time, and his love of other genres of music, in addition to classical music, I think have led him to, becoming a wizard on the computer and producing as well. So these guys have been producing a few of the tracks that you heard, and we'd love to just give them a chance to talk about facilitating youth voice. What's up, Ben? What's up, OC?
How's it going, everyone? You want to start?
Yeah, sure. Basically, the way we would do it in our collective composition weeks, when we were doing this at schools with a bunch of kids, we would allow them to take the lead, create the ideas, and basically kind of dictate the direction that the project is going to go in. And we'd have like a big final show or concert, or just something to show we were working on that week. And it's basically, we've adjusted pretty well to the online format, and that now we're just we're taking the ideas that the kids work on, and we're recording Zoom chats, and we're taking those recordings, whether they're singing or playing, and then we plug them into a program in the computer, and then we're able to make music to support those ideas that the kids come up with. And so it's different, but I like that we've been able to maintain that it's centered around what the kids give us. And it's cool. There's just a level of creativity that maybe now as an adult, or certain things that I would think are too silly or too this, that a kid will just freely suggest and throw into the mix. And you're like, what, honestly, I would never come up with that. So working with kids from all over and helping them grow some of these like crazy ideas that are awesome. It's a cool challenge. It's just fun, so
yeah, it's so much fun. And the main thing for me is, because it is a little bit of a process. We take the different sounds, some are musical, some are more just clapping or just sound effects, and find a way to turn it into a finished product. And the thing that really strikes me is the kids' reaction to it. And it really seems like they don't quite understand what we're going to do until they hear it. And then when they do hear that final product, there's this sort of, I don't even know how to describe it. They seem very happy. They seem really excited. And I think in a lot of ways, it is helping these kids to be more aware of the creative avenues that they can pursue. And this sort of idea that you can take a car horn, or you can take a door slamming, or you can take a single note and you can turn it into an amazing piece of music, I think is really important for these kids to understand. So that's sort of been part of our process. Yeah.
And that's beautiful. And if you think about it, it really, I hate to say the word simplify, it creates more accessibility to composition.
Yeah.
Right. It's not, you don't have to have the contrapuntal skills that Mozart had, that Beethoven had, all that kind of stuff. I don't really know what that means. I think that it's contrapuntal skills. And now we can we can put things together and really show these kids that composition is building, it's constructing, it's problem solving. And it breaks it down to like its most elementary elements, which are also the most difficult elements. And that's why it's so hard to write a great song, because those same things that are the building blocks are the same things that are so hard to do. Ben and Osi, we played number one. What do you think about doing a minute of number two?
Yeah, sure. So that's the like the movie trailer kind of sounding thing. Do we have that?
Do you have that file?
I can play it.
Cool.
Okay, he can play it.
Cool.
Give me 1 sec here. Round of applause right here, guys. It's worth listening to, but we just don't have the time, sadly.
Ben and Osi, thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. We had a question for Kiana and Nima, and then Kiana, let's play your track. How has the production process helped your instrument performance, especially in terms of comfort?
For me, it's helped me kind of like open up more and like what exactly the kind of message I want to give by playing. Because most of the time I don't really say exactly what I do, but I can put it on my instrument and like say it through my instrument without actually saying
it. For me, I guess I'm able to like experiment more with my instrument. With the production process, I can like sample stuff that I play or add it in different things.
We teach these kids so many notes, right? Because it takes so much left hand to play all these concertos and stuff. And I think comfortability in one or two notes and comfortability with one chordal change or one groove change is like really, really important. Nima, in particular with you, what I've seen is a comfortability in starting with a theme instead of like kind of trickling in with something. Like just like you said, like having an idea, it's in your head, and then it being said right away instead of it developing a little bit over time. That's been really beautiful to see.
Thank you.
All right, the long anticipated Kiana Carrington Braden track. Osi and Ben, before you go, just want to let you guys know, we've now transitioned with these guys. We're going to do a storybook project. We're in the process with we'll talk. Okay. And anyway, we used Barack Obama's book of the I Sing, A Letter to His Daughters, as inspiration, and now we're reconceiving that storybook and those letters with the kids' music and with Osi and Ben's music. All right, Kiana, let's hear it.
You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust. All right. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Just because I walk as if I have oil wells pumping in my living room. A reality. When the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, but still like dust. Everyday women and men become legends. We shall be coming.
Yeah, Kiana. So unfortunately, we didn't see the video to that. Kiana, can you just talk about what you did once you made the music, then you wanted to go further, had some inspiration?
The video did play?
No.
Oh, sorry. What was the question again?
What was the video and why was the video?
So basically, it was a bunch of it was images of Martin Luther King, some Black Panther members, some protests that have been happening recently, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and at the end I put like, let's not forget the people who have been killed by police brutality. And that was all centered around the Black Lives Matter movement.
Kiana, did an adult tell you to use that subject matter? Was that your personal or you and Braden's exploration?
That was me and Braden's exploration.
Yeah, it's all in the students' hands. That's how we're feeling about this. Any questions? I love Natalie's question. I lost it here, but it's Natalie. Can you repeat your question verbally?
So Kavina, you had asked Kiana and Nima how the production process helped them with their instrument performance, but I was wondering if you, as teachers and experienced musicians, felt the same way. Because imagine if we had this type of work when we were growing up, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it'd be a completely different world. But yeah, anyone want to share what their thoughts are? If you have any.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually was asked this question recently by Jessica, who's here in the room with us. She asked me if I've done anything like this, and I have. I was exposed to something that most kids are not able to be exposed to, and that's youth professional development classes. And since I was a teenager, 14 years old, that's when I first started in production. And I felt like it helped me, but I'm an introvert, but I'm not shy when it comes to the stage. But I feel like production is always in my mind. And so that's why I was curious to hear from Kiana and Nima. Like, when I'm playing, I imagine all of those things that can be done in production. And right now with Henry for Music, this is an organization that I'm looping myself into, that I'm getting involved with. But I have great visions for Henry for Music, and if it's not something that fits Henry for Music, I'm more than willing to start my own nonprofit organization that services this type of avenue, this creative avenue for kids, because it has helped me so much. And I mentioned that it reminds me of the movie August Rush, where he hears music in everything, and I was that child. So even for those of you who have gotten to know me, I see some familiar faces here. You kind of hear a musicality in everything I do, because that's where music is. It's really deep in our souls. And I know that's something that the Collective Conservatory touches on and really looks to bring out of the kids into a greater sense of awareness. I just love it. So I hope that answered your question. I went all kinds of places.
Thank you for that.
Definitely.
Awesome. Also, let me mention, I most recently used that talent, or that skill, both, in the production of a Mother's Day project that Henry for Music produced. We had a special composer, David Friedman, who works on Disney stuff and Broadway stuff. He is a friend of Henry for Music's, and so he composed a piece called Dear Little Mother. And you can find it on YouTube. Just search Dear Little Mother Project, and you'll get to see our students. It's basically a montage of them performing. And I used the program Audacity to mix their things in and do the little audio tweaking and the scaling. Oh, yeah, it's great. I love it. So if you're not yet into production, definitely explore it, because it opens you up. And I don't know if you were able to see Kiana's eyes and Nima's eyes when they were talking about it, but it just sparks something in you, and you just get lit up. I love it. The end.
Kavina, you looking for a job?
Yes, always. No, truly though. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Anything else? We love to end these things early, and just to be honest, we oftentimes feel like for adults and for students that 90 minutes is too long. And you could see there where if we would have made Gabe's thing its actual 15 minutes, the movement, and Natalie the full 15 minutes, how that actually would come into play right now, because we would have had Gabe in the beginning, and then Natalie would have been here 25 minutes ago. to kind of refresh us, to get us ready for the next part of it. So I feel like this is a little long, just in general. Any last minute questions?
I just have a quick question for you and your team, Dan. So I know that you're going to be, the Collective Conservatory is coming together, and you're going to, of course, be doing a lot of great things moving forward. And if we're interested in your work, if we want to follow your work, if we want to invite you to our programs, how do we do that, and where do we find your work?
I just put that in the chat. It's collectiveconservatory.com.
Oh, cool.
And I would welcome everyone on the call, or the individuals on the call, to also put their contact information on there if they want. I don't like this having to go to the mothership to get to the information, right? If you want to hire the Collective Conservatory, you can email us there. But if you want to if individual questions for these guys, go for it. OC doesn't answer his emails, but everyone else does. What else? Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, Monique. Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dan. It's been a small group today, and I thank you and your whole team for coming. It's been, I always say it's small but mighty. I think we've had so much fun, and I've learned so much. So thank you, Dan, Pete, Natalie, Nima, Kiana, Ben, OC, and we also had Gabrielle earlier who left earlier. Thank you to you and your whole team. We appreciate you, and it's been such a fun time. So thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Yukavina.
Thanks. Stay well.
Bye.
Bye.
Jessica, bye.